Hello, thank you so much for being part of this wonderful channel. I am Achieng Mwangi, and of course, this is the Achieng Mwangi Journey Show. Thank you so much for subscribing. And for those who haven't, please click on the subscription button, press the like there. You can leave a comment. There's so much we get to unpack and share. And yeah, let's all have fun as we do this now.
You're watching The Journey Show with Achieng Mwangi.
Today, there's something I want to share with you, and it's in relation to trauma. Big word, yeah? And of course, this era of social media, it's being thrown right, left, and center. And probably you're wondering, what is this all about now? Trauma is just emotional response to different issues per se. It could be an abuse, it could be a disaster, it could be from an accident. It's a lot that comes with trauma, and different people respond to trauma in different ways. Now, certain symptoms may manifest depending on different people. There are those who become anxious, they suffer anxiety. There are those who suffer panic attacks. There are those who just shut down. There are those who choose to, lock people out or walk away from people. And it's a lot. Different people react differently. Now, today I want to talk to you about what are some of the, signs that shows that you are suffering from trauma, and probably you've not realized it yet. Yeah, because I know you might single out a situation and say, well, um, I'm from an abusive relationship and I was angry and all that. But as you go through life past that issue, you realize there's certain things you're doing and they are related to that particular incident. So, today, what I'm going to be looking at is certain responses to trauma that you may be going through and somebody else might be going through, and probably they haven't realized it, or they have, but they just don't know what to do. So, the first one is defensiveness. You ever been in an argument or maybe a discussion with somebody who is, you know, they are so adamant to admit that maybe the mistake was theirs? Yeah, they'll defend whatever it is to their last call. Yeah, they're not so ready to admit. And, even if the evidence is there, they just have to find a way and prove it wasn't me, or probably it was, this and that, but they never point it back to themselves. I'm not saying all situations are like that. Yeah, there are certain situations, yes, they might be enforcing something on you and you need to defend yourself. But when this becomes like a behavior, and in every instance you're always defending yourself, you're always, trying to pull yourself away from a situation that you had a hand in it, that could be a sign of trauma response. Something else that you need to note is when somebody is becoming defensive, they might try to enforce a situation. They want to ensure that you see the whole picture from their side. And at times they might as well as raise their voices trying to, make a point. And they get so angry when you don't agree with whatever it is that they're saying. So this person could be responding to trauma. Another thing that comes with trauma response is soft boundaries. Soft boundaries. Now, we all need to keep certain boundaries. It could be at work, it could be even when you're at home. There are certain boundaries you must set. As a parent, uh, there's certain boundaries you teach your children. You don't just walk into a room without knocking, or, boundaries are there and they're there for a reason. And when somebody is responding to trauma, it becomes a little bit hard to set firm boundaries. That's why they're called soft boundaries. Soft boundaries can be as a result of whatever traumatic event this particular person went through. And you realize that it's hard for them to say no, because they think by saying no, what is the other person going to feel? How are they going to perceive me? And now Their lack of setting that boundary still inflicts more pain on them. But because they don't want to be seen as a no person, they keep on, allowing so much. At times, it's so much baggage that comes with maybe whatever happened during the event that traumatized them, and it becomes so hard for them to let go. That is why even in relationships you've had people saying trauma bonding, and somebody who is in an abusive relationship, and you're wondering why can't they just walk out. And this is something most of us tend to ask when you see somebody being beaten, or when you see somebody being emotionally abused, and you wonder, why are they still there? You know, at some point, there was this video that was circulating on the social media about some lady, and this guy was hitting her, and she just sat there trying to speak to this guy, and he kept on, slapping her. And most people are like, never ever, I could never ever be in that kind of a situation. Now, that is what trauma causes someone to go through. It's not like they don't feel the pain, but they just don't know how. You know, to some extent, they've bonded with this person. To an extent, they don't want to let go. And it's not as easy as you may think. Yeah, most people are like, me, never ever. The moment you raise your finger, I'm out of the door. Well, good for you. But for some, you need to realize it's a whole journey. It's a whole process of breaking it down and coming to the realization that it is time. I need to let go. But before they do, these are the guys that suffer soft boundaries. And you realize with time, they've just been in it for years and years and years, until it becomes like they're attached to it. And I know there are counselors out here who take you through the journey and, help you out when it comes to this situation. So today I'm just bringing you the awareness that get to know when you see somebody who is, you know, going through something like that, or probably it's hard for them to say no. Just know there's a root cause. There's something that happened along the way that made them adopt or adapt to this kind of, you know, way of life of not saying no or setting that particular boundary. The next one is walking away. Walking away is a strategy of, setting boundaries as well, but there's that kind of walking away that becomes an issue because you're responding to trauma. There are those guys who've been hurt so badly, and probably they keep reliving that event over and over again. And their first response to whatever situation is abandon everything and move. At times, and this comes also in line with relationships, you find when somebody's dating and you've just found this person, the slightest argument. I'm not saying the kind of quarrels that now you fight. No, in relationships people argue, you disagree, and at times you go silent on each other. It's the norm, it's normal. And I'm not saying the physical one. No, 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 no. You might disagree on certain issues, which is okay, but this is the kind of person, once you disagree, their first instinct is to pack up and move away. They move from you like it never happened. You disagree today, the next time you call them, they're like, you know what? This is the end of it. We're not even going to discuss it. It's done. They wrap it up and they move on. That is a way of responding to trauma. And it can be so hard on the person because along the way you realize you're losing friendships, you're losing family, you're losing, connections, just because you cannot deal with whatever it is you're going through. And it takes courage, I must say. Anybody who is healing from trauma, it takes courage. It's not as easy as just deciding one day, you know what, I'm forgetting about the incident and I'm bouncing back to this happy person, or, functioning right the way everybody's supposed to be. No, no, no. It's a journey, it's a process, and we need to be patient with these particular people who are going through trauma and they need to heal from it. And also, one of the things that also comes with, trauma, it doesn't manifest itself. Yeah, it's psychological, and at times the outside world we cannot be seeing it, but you feel it. Take your time, heal from it, and talk about these things. At times, you need just to let your friends know, the reason as to why I shut down when maybe we're having a discussion and I decide I'm walking away is because this and this happened. So you need to be patient enough, because after I've walked away, maybe I'll cool down and then later on we can have this discussion. Let the people around you know. Now that I'm teaching you, if you have that kind of trauma response, that when something arises, you just decide to walk away, then now you know how to go about it and alert those people who are in your circle and let them know I'm going through the healing process. So just bear with me. Now, having said that, I'm going to just take a little short break. Then, when I get back, we'll still be looking at some of the causes of trauma and how do we respond to them. But before I do let you go, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell. Share this with a friend, and I'll really, really, really appreciate. See you in a minute.
You're watching The Johnny Show with Achieng Mwangi.
Thank you so much for keeping it here. This is the Achieng Mwangi Johnny Show, and of course, you're with me, Achieng Mwangi. Yes, yes, yes. So, still in the light of looking into how we respond to trauma, I have to make you note this. Uh, Trauma is huge in different aspects. Like I told you, it comes with maybe an accident that happened. It could be emotional or physical, if you can group it that way. So it's not necessarily that these are some of the ways that somebody who is going through physical or emotional will be adapting to. But I'm just mentioning a few things that you can look into and get to realize that maybe you are going through, you've not really resolved the trauma that you're dealing with, or probably you're trying to find a way to cope with it. Now, I had told you, over being defensive and, packing up and walking away, shutting down. Now, when it comes to shutting down, personally, because of the surgery I had, if you don't know about that, you can check the other videos. Because of that particular surgery, there are moments when I go to church, or when I go to places where there are loud music, or when I'm just in the house listening to the TV or maybe music, it could be through the earphone. One of the things that I tend to do is just shut down. You know, if I'm in a public place, I tend to find a place where there's, no much noise, where it's quiet a little bit, even if it's just for 5 minutes. That is the way I respond to it. And because I know if I don't, then I start having all these headaches and all, it's a whole lot of things that go on. So that is my way of coping with that particular incident. And with time, I've learned on how to go about it. If I know I'm going to a place where there's so much high sound, I prepare myself, and I even alert John at times, that this is going to happen. I know this is what is going to come our way. So just get to know at some point, I might withdraw just to reset my brain again. Yeah. Now, having said that, there are many ways that people get to deal with traumas, but these particular ways that I'm sharing with you, if you feel that you've been going through them, then I think and I feel you should address whatever the situation is, because you cannot keep going through life living like that. One another cause that comes with it is you find you become a people pleaser. Yeah, you're constantly trying to seek approval. You're here, you're there, trying to make it look like you're readily available. There is nothing wrong with once in a while saying no, because you're drained, for one. Number two, you feel like probably that is not something that you should be doing, but because it's a way of you coping. And this comes with, you find that maybe in your childhood there was so much rejection, and now that you're an adult, you're constantly seeking on how to find people to like you. So when they ask you, can we go do one, two, three? And you, yes, I'll go. Just because you want to fit in. You're craving for that attention. Well, I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be so. In life, you'll find people who like you for who you are. There are people who will love you for who you are. And it's not necessarily they'll subject you to things that don't even align to your values. If they don't, if they don't align to what you believe in, let it go. You don't have to stick around just because you're trying to prove a point to yourself that, yeah, I'm likable. That even back then when people disregarded me, now I can try and fit in. No, it will drain you at some point. You will end up doing stuff and you look back and you're wondering, who is that? That's not you. Yeah. So you need to deal with it. I know it takes time, it's a process, but just start by saying, no, I'm not available today. When they're going out for some drinks or they're going out for some, activity, and probably it's going to drain your pockets, just say no. There's nothing they're going to do to you. And true friends will stick by you, they'll understand. Yeah. So take the time and work on it. Work on it. Don't be a people pleaser. Another cause that comes with trauma is daydreaming. Oh, I know we've all been there. For a minute, you dream about living in Paris, and you're having this perfect life in your mind. Well, it's you're having this fairy tale and a fantasy. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's an extent that this becomes an issue, and you find that most people who are dealing with trauma, they use this as an escape mechanism, and they create a fantasy in their mind. And for some, you find it's a repetitive uh, dream, or it's a repetitive kind of thought that they get into, you know. And I've seen different movies, and I haven't been able to speak to anyone who's gone maybe through childhood abuse or stuff like that. And you find a child creates this fantasy in their head, like they're living in this palace or they're eating this kind of food. And they do that just to shut out the kind of situation that is happening at the moment. Yeah. So every day they get to sit back and relive this fantasy and this dream in their head to make them feel, it's what, but at the end of the day, their reality is still there. The abuse is still there. They still feel traumatized from whatever event that happened. And it's something that has to be addressed, because you can't live in a fantasy. You know, you can't have an illusion that there's this perfect thing and the trauma is still there. There's nothing wrong with the dreaming. I mean, we all have dreams like those. At that moment where you're just thinking, especially if you're single, you're dreaming of this Mr. Perfect guy, and you have this perfect place you're living in. You have these wonderful babies. Nothing wrong with that. It's harmless. But now, when it becomes like a routine where you're trying to evade your reality, then there is a problem. And having said that, I'll just share with you the last one. Those guys who respond to trauma by being perfect, perfectionism. Out here, you meet different people, and there are people, it's either 100% or 100%. You get 99.9, it's not there yet. And you find this is a mechanism of responding to trauma, because either way, at some point, they were expected to live up to the maximum or their fullest potential. And if they did not attain that, it became chaos, it became a problem. And in relationships, also, this is happening. Even in marriages, there are those guys who you walk into their houses, you feel like if you sit down, you're gonna disorganize everything. Probably the spouse has made these demands, this one has to be there, this one has to be there. And if it's not, oh, my friend, it's gonna be bad. Yeah, you'll get the constant, oh, you're not good enough, oh, you've not been doing anything, oh, you don't know how to do that. Or probably even when making food. I mean, we're not all perfect. No one is perfect. We're human beings, for crying out loud. We make mistakes. These mistakes are allowed. You're allowed to make a mistake. Once in a while, you cook food and it's, maybe the salt is just over the bar. It happens. There's no need to be frantic about it. And now you are in this, anger mode and blaming yourself. And, it almost feels like you're going to vanish the next second. Come on. Perfectionism has really made people to lose out in enjoying life. You don't have to be perfect. And I'm not saying you be lazy either. Yeah, everything in moderation. Do that to your level best. If whatever you do amounts to 100%, that's okay. But if now it becomes like a craving, that if it doesn't get to that percentage, then everything else doesn't matter, then you're going to lose out in life. And this is where you find even those who are going through parenting. If your child does not do everything as to the way you've stipulated, as to the book, you don't even reward them, you don't even congratulate them, you don't even take note of it, then you'll raise somebody else who'll also grow up to be a perfectionist but very angry. They'll never enjoy life. It's the little that makes sense. If they do 2% today, you say, well done. You encourage them. Next day, get 4%. And if they get 3, that's an effort. At least they attain the 1% over the 2. Always be positive. And I know it's a struggle. It's a way of coping with trauma, and you need to address it. When you find yourself that in everything you do, you must attain perfection, then trust me, there's a problem. There's nothing with wanting excellence. We all do. We want to be excellent. But when it becomes now like a drug, or like these doors you must have each and every day, then that's not it. You're missing out on life. And like I said, trauma takes time to, heal. And at times you need to just sit back and evaluate the whole situation. How are you going to cope with it? Stay calm. Once you've noticed it, stay calm. Yeah. Get your head in the right space. From there on, you tell yourself the truth. Tell yourself the truth and say, well, this and this happened. Don't try to sugarcoat it. Oh, it's because this did not go this. No, 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 no. If it's plainly as an abuse happened, yes, say this happened, and it's okay from here on. How do I navigate forward? It will take time, that I can tell you. It's not going to just vanish in a day. It's going to take time. But as you go through it, once you've internalized and realized, well, this and this happened, accept that. It might be shameful. It might feel like you're guilty. It might feel like, you went so low, you stooped so low. That's okay. Feel all those emotions. And right from that point, you can now move forward and say, well, how do I go about it? How do I cope with it? Because creating an illusion that that it did not happen, or you try to get a quick fix to it, then you'll end up ruining your relationships, ruining your happiness. And at the end of it all, you will crumble. At some point, you're going to get to that breaking point, and it will be so bad. So I hope you've learned something. Get to deal with whatever trauma it is that you're facing. And if you do have a question, please drop it in the comment. We'll be sure to have a discussion ongoing there. Thank you so much. For those who have subscribed, I really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you. And of course, you can share with a friend as well, as we look forward to unfolding more discussion right here on the Achieng Mwangi Journey Show. Until next time, bye bye. This thing right here is so zunye, you know. Anyway, let me wave like an African. See you.
The Journey Show with Achieng Mwangi.